Hey, welcome into the Stinkin podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth, live from Tampa Bay. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you continue to subscribe, continue to help us grow this podcast, share it with your friends and family. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm sorry I was looking down because I just want to make sure I had the quote or the tweet ready to go. So after the Broncos beat the Giants on Sunday, Sean Payton was saying how much respect he has for the Giants, and he said he talked to one of the Giants owners and said, hey, listen, you got something there in Jackson Dart, and we were really hoping that we wouldn't see him, that you'd make the switch to Jackson Dart after we had played you, which, many of us correctly took as to him throwing shade at Russell Wilson. Well, apparently Russell Wilson took it the same way because he responded on Twitter by saying, classless but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Hashtag let's ride.
Yeah, that's the same guy that the reports were he wouldn't give his cell phone number to the players that he played with, right? That they had to connect with Russ through his intermediary or whatever. Is that right? Did I get that right? Listen, there is no question, and I love Sean Payton because he adheres to my number one philosophy in life, which is I'm a gracious loser, but when it comes to winning, I'm a dick. And that's exactly what Sean Payton feels like. Like, he is so glad he feels like he's winning that he dumped Russell Wilson, dumped that gigantic contract. Everybody was pearl clutching. Oh my gosh, the Broncos will never win again, having to carry all that dead cap money of Russ. Oh, what are we going to do? There were so many people in Denver, Colorado that thought that Russ was the answer. And Sean Payton basically said, up yours. Russ is not going to be a part of this football team. And I love that he feels like he won. And I love the fact that he is so snarky that he can't just praise Jackson Dart. He's got to throw some shade Russ's way. And I think that I'm here for it. I think it's awesome. And by the way, I'll say this as well. For Russell Wilson, I've always said that Russell has this toxic positivity that just sucks. Like, I hate it. And as a player, I believe there are times where you should be miserable. Like my NFL experience, I probably didn't enjoy it as much as I wish I would have because I was miserable and I was being punished. When we didn't play well, I got punished and we got punished. I'll tell you one of the great punishment stories in the history of punishment stories. Okay.
Story time with Stink. Here we go.
Story time with Stink. So I am playing for the Denver Broncos, and I have this Reebok contract. And I think they gave us, like, part of the Reebok contract was we got $20,000 a year of merchandise from the Reebok catalog. And it $20,000 back then was a lot of money, but it was $20,000 at cost. So it was like triple what you could normally get. Like, everybody got tennis shoes and stuff for Christmas. It was big. So my son is going into his, I think he was going to be 12. And that was the first year you go from rubber bottom cleats to the metal spikes.
Yep.
And all the kids wanted the metal spikes because really the thing they liked most about them was clicking through the parking lot. Yep. They thought it sounded really cool. So we had this team. I coached this team called the Silver Falcons, and they were white uniforms with royal blue and silver piping. And he's flipping through the Reebok catalog and he comes across these cleats, right? And these cleats are the Reebok metal spike bottoms and they're royal blue. So they're going to match the uniform perfectly. And he brings the catalog to me and goes, Dad, can I get these? And so, being the thoughtful parent that I am, I said, well, listen, I saw it as an opportunity. I go, I'll get you these cleats, but you're going to have to make a guarantee to me. You're going to have to play like locked in, focused at 12 years old the entirety of the time because you're going to wear these cleats out. You'll be the only person on your team that doesn't have black cleats on. And so you're going to single yourself out. So I expect you to be not only the best player, because you are the best player, but I expect you to be singularly focused at every game.
I think
Of course I will, Dad.
Fair ask, I think.
Right. Of course I will. Yes, Dad, no problem. So, of course, we're in the middle of the season, and he's playing outfield, and I can see him not paying attention. And a ball gets hit in the outfield. He's digging for four-leaf clovers, and he's like, oh, well, he can't find the ball right now. He's like all over the place. And the ball lands behind him. He just doesn't track it at all. And it was because he wasn't paying attention. So now I'm livid and I'm pissed off, and I clean up the dugout, and I have this big truck, and he's in his mom's car and she's waiting. And I walk up and she's looking at me through the window like, no, 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 no. I walk right to the passenger side, and I didn't even say, I just looked at him. I went like this, get in the truck. And my wife's like, oh, don't be mean to our 12-year-old boy. I go, in the truck right now. So I get him in the truck, and I read him the riot act, right? Like a disappointed, lack of focus, lack of it, you're the best player on the team. I expect more from you type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, I end up suspending him for one game from the shoes. So that's it. You're going to have to wear your old rubber bottom black shoes that are worn out and there's holes in the toes because you pitch and everything else. You're going to have to wear those next game. So, the next game he comes out in his black shoes and he's, his lips dragging on the ground and, oh, woe is me. I don't have my cool spikes. I'm not allowed to play them. So anyhow, that was the punishment. I thought it was a fair punishment. So he accepts the punishment. Now, fast forward to the preseason. We're playing the Buffalo Bills. And the deal is, when I played in the NFL, it's not like today's NFL where it's soft as shit. Yeah, it was hard. And like, if you lost, even in the preseason, you got punished. You lost, you had to come in the next day. You got to watch the film with the coach. He'd be up your ass about every little detail, right? You had to go out and run and lift and do all those things. And your whole day Monday was taken up. They took up your whole day. They made you miserable. So it was incentive to go out there and win. So we're playing the Buffalo Bills, and our starting offense goes down the field a couple of times. We end up scoring 2 touchdowns. I think we're up 14-0 or 14-3 when we come out. Well, the crappy backups we had gave up the score, gave up the panties, and the next thing you know, like, we lose this game. So I roll out of the locker room. We had this big conversion van, and Lisa, my wife, and the 3 kids are outside, and I'm like, let's load up, and so we go trudging through all the fans and stuff, and I'm not like signing autographs or anything. I'm like, let's go. Got pissed because I got to go into work tomorrow, right? And so we walk in and we get in the van, and boom, down I-25 we are, and I'm not saying a word, and everybody in the car is quiet. And my son says, Dad, and I was like, yeah, Daniel. And he goes, I'm going to need your shoes. and we all just started busting up laughing because he's just like, man, you played like shit.
I'm going to need your shoes.
So, we ended up getting punished. I mean, that's just the way it was back then. And so I believe you got to be a little bit miserable, right? And this toxic positivity of Russ just drives me crazy. Yeah. And I've told you this before. I've been in a meeting with him where he had said in the paper, like in a moment of honesty that, I'm sure he regretted at the time. He said, hey, man, I got to play better. This is when he was in Denver. Yeah. And I had the Denver Broncos Raiders game. And so I run up, and I've got the newspaper, and I'm like, hey, Russ, right here. It says right here, hey, man, I've got to play better. And I said, so I put it down. I go, give me some specifics of things that you need to do better. And he's like, well, we need to in the Reds. And I go, no, I didn't say we. I said you. What do you need to do better? And he goes right back into his dissertation that was planned. Like, well, we have to when we get into. And I'm like, dude, we. You're not a French waiter. Yeah. What do you have to? And he wouldn't answer the question. He flat wouldn't answer it. And I thought to myself, disingenuous, man. You should be miserable at times. You should get punished for losing. It should suck. It should suck down to your core when you lose. And that's part of it. That to me is part of why a lot of people can't play this game, because it is tough. So I was happy to see Russ go after Sean Payton. I was happy to see him actually be a human because he's such a cornball and he's such a oh, everything's positive,
Yeah.
we're gonna be, let's ride, and all the stuff that he does, that to me is a bit disingenuous and makes him kind of non-human. He's almost an alien. And I was happy. Good for you, Russell Wilson, to drop a set of testicles and go after Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Because I think you should. I think you should. You have been challenged, and I think it's a good thing.
And when I hear, we hear from some people saying, Sean doesn't have any class, and why does he say these kind of things? Listen, all I know is that from covering sports for a long time and being a fan, 99% of what athletes, coaches, whatever in sports talk about is so boring, so cliche ridden. And, as fans, I think we want, give us some honesty. Tell us how you feel. Right.
Right.
And Sean isn't afraid to be honest. Russ just showed he wasn't afraid to do it. I want more of that. I want to know how these guys really feel and not condemn these guys for telling the truth. I want more of it, not less of it. Don't condemn these guys when they actually tell us how they feel. Isn't that what we want? The truth?
Right. Yeah. Everybody wants the truth and pines for the truth and begs for the truth until you get it. And then they're like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And I love Sean because Sean is going to let you know exactly what he thinks. Hey, man, he thinks Hackett, the former head coach of the Denver Broncos, is a bad coach. He lets you know, hey, man, that was the worst. That was the worst coaching job I've ever seen. You're like, oh my God, you're so not used to it. And he's unapologetic. Can Sean be an absolute prick? Yep, he can. And he's not going to apologize for it. That's who he is at his core at times, and he's going to let you know. And I was glad to see Russ actually be a human and defend himself. Good for you, Russell. And man, I got plenty over 2 years of watching him in Denver that was just, mind-numbingly boring and awful and the whole 9 yards. And to see the thing that really pissed me off more than anybody, or more than anything, wasn't so much that Russ was bad and he was awful, but it was all the little Rusties out there that supported him, and
Still do.
They don't have an idea what they're looking at. Zero. Dude, it's 4 teams now. Seattle said, hey, thank you, but no thank you, thank you. Denver says the same thing. The Steelers go, oh, yeah, no, we'd rather have Aaron Rodgers at 106 than have you. Mm-hmm. The Giants were like, oh, my God, we can't stomach this anymore. Let's go to Jackson Dart. They have spoken. And yet there's still a bunch of Rusties out there that think it's everybody is conspiring against Russ Wilson. No, nobody is. If he could play, he'd be playing. And so ultimately, I was glad to see Russell Wilson actually stick up for himself and go back after Sean, which I thought was great.
You talked about the softness. Things were tougher back then in your NFL. I wonder what your reaction is to staying with the Broncos for a second, but I bring this story up only because I think it could have league-wide ramifications. I think there was a bit of a dangerous precedent set here with Dre Greenlaw getting suspended. Now, what happened after the game, Broncos win, dramatic fashion. Everybody, comes together on the field, and Brad Allen, the lead official for that crew, trying to get out of the scrum, kind of pushed one of the Bronco players, Justin Strnad, and then Dre Greenlaw followed Allen and was giving him an earful to the point where Allen looked back, dropped a flag after the game, threw a flag, and then Greenlaw got suspended and the suspension got upheld. So what kind of precedent are we setting here that apparently if you say a couple of, bad words, potty mouth to an official, you can get suspended for it?
You got a potty mouth fine.
Yeah.
You got a potty mouth suspension. What are we doing?
Right?
How soft can we possibly be as a league? Now you can't voice your displeasure with calls or with the way they're operating as an officiating crew. By the way, what kind of chicken shit are you that you're going to throw a flag when the game is over? Like, is that not a testament to how overflagged the game is anyhow? That you've already thrown way too many flags, and you had a game-changing penalty at the end of the game that was absolute garbage on the pass interference against Riley Moss, and now you just feel empowered to throw another flag? Like, I'm just going to tell you right now, Brad Allen, nobody comes to watch you officiate the game. Not one person. Your family doesn't even come to watch you officiate the game. Nobody does. So nobody wants to see that garbage. And at what point did we quit allowing guys to cuss somebody out on a football field? I mean, that's how it's always been. I don't understand, like, why all of a sudden that's important. Here are your two, to me, here are the two things that you come into a football game to do as an official. One, not to be the focal point. You want to walk away from the game and let the players on the football field decide the outcome of the game. That's your number one priority. Nobody, as I mentioned, comes to watch you officiate a game, not one person. So make sure that you're not the story at the end of the game. That's got to be your number one priority. And then the number two thing is that when things go awry, your job is to de-escalate first, not to throw flags, not to escalate the issue, but to de-escalate the issue. So if he comes over, if Drake Greenlaw comes over and starts giving you the business and starts cussing you out, you have to, one, walk away, and two, say, hey, man, stop. That's enough. The game's over, man. You won, like, whatever. But to throw the little flag and then for the league to uphold it, I get, hey, man, you want to send a message, throw a $100,000 fine at the guy. Say, hey, man, we're fining you $100,000. But don't take a game away from Drake Greenlaw for he didn't touch you. There was no physical altercation, even though Brad Allen did touch Justin Strnad. There was no physical altercation. Let it go. And for the league to uphold that, like, we cannot have guys cussing at the officials. That is not appropriate. And we're going to clean up the language in this league. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing?
And I talk about precedents being set. Maybe one has been set, and maybe the NFL was following what Major League Baseball did. So when the Padres lost in the playoffs,
the Cubbies, right?
And they didn't. There was a horrendous call on a strikeout to Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
And when the game was over, the officials were leaving through the Padres dugout, and a number of players were just airing them out. Now, one of the players, Jose Iglesias, did get suspended a game for next year for conduct detrimental and all that kind of stuff. And a few other players, including Bogaerts, got fined. So I don't know. Maybe this is the slippery slope we're going down, because I mean, for a century, baseball managers could come out, get in the face of an umpire, yell at him, go throw a base, come back, yell at him, and they're going to get tossed, but you're not going to get suspended. And how about in the NBA? Some coach gets angry and comes flying off the bench and gets teed up not once but twice, tossed out of the game.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're saying some magic words along the way to get tossed, but they're not getting suspended. So I don't know. This might just be the start of something we see a lot more of.
We used to always have it to the point where the officials would give you a couple of warnings. Like if you and another player were mixing it up and cussing each other out or whatever, they'd give you a couple of warnings before they put their foot down and, threw a flag. And then ultimately, before you got tossed out of a game. But this just seems microwave butter soft. We can't even state our disapproval anymore of the way you're officiating a game and how bad it was. And then, you laid your hands on another player. Like, we had a bunch of people that, texted into our radio show going, hey, this is not leadership. And this is not, we had those folks. But I think one of the things that we came up with on the radio show is this is perfect leadership, man. You're trying to defend one of your players, and you're letting that official know how they screwed this game up. and how they almost cost you a victory. And don't forget Drake Greenlaw, man. Ever since the Super Bowl where he tore his Achilles, the year after, which was last year, he played a handful of games, a handful of snaps. He missed the first, 6 games of the season because of a quad injury. So this was his first opportunity. He played 21 snaps, his first opportunity to be back in there. You don't think you're chomping at the bit to prove that you were a great decision by the Broncos, that they signed the right guy, and then you go out to support your teammate who the official just pushed on his way out, exiting the scrum of celebration? You deserve to get your ass ripped.
Well, I guess we now know why the Ravens are 1-5, Mark, and it's not because Lamar Jackson got hurt. It's not because a bunch of other key Raven players got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were having too much fun.
Yeah.
And John Harbaugh has said no more fun. Apparently, in the wake of going 1-5, the Ravens have removed from the locker room. Let me see if I got this right here. Ping pong tables, basketball hoops, papa shots, cornhole boards, and video game consoles. There shall be no more fun. And I expect the wins to just start to flow in for the Ravens now that they've been had that distraction removed.
I, for one, appreciate that John Harbaugh did that, because what did we just talk about? There needs to be a level of punishment.
That's right.
And if you guys cannot handle ping pong tables,
you like this? You like this move?
If you can't handle ping pong tables, if you can't handle papa shot, if you can't handle a little cornhole game because you can't keep your focus because you're too worried about, running back in after practice to play cornhole, then I'm taking them away from you guys because you're not obviously mature enough to handle fun time. And, when fun time starts interrupting serious time and preparation time, then I'm taking fun time away. I love it. You should be I go right back to it.
You think the reason they're 1-5 is because they're distracted because they're playing too much cornhole.
I think that if anything takes you away from prepping and talking the game, and you feel like that has been a distraction, even a small distraction. One thing I will tell you about an NFL locker room, okay? There are 5 or 6 guys in every locker room that are morons. Okay? 5 or 6 guys that have to be managed, have to be babysat, have to be tended to at all times. And then there are 15 guys that are deciding whether they're going to be professionals or not. And it's those 15 guys that you have to make sure you manage and get them on the right side. That's your responsibility as a coaching staff. That's your responsibility as a veteran player to make sure that guy doesn't slip to the dark side. One thing that I know about playing all the years that I played, the locker room dynamic is really interesting because those 5 or 6 guys, Mike, can have an unbelievably huge gravitational pull on professionalism. And it always amazes me that even 1 or 2 dudes that are not professionals, the amount of guys they swing to the wrong side of that line. It's unreal. And I've watched guys come into a locker room that I was in that were super talented but weren't very professional, and watched how many young guys' careers they ruined. And so if I'm John Harbaugh, I'm in that organization, I'm a veteran player, and you see guys, the same guys that are over there playing, pop a shot and putting all their energy into that are the same guys that are screwing things up on Sundays or busting plays on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in practice. Obviously we can't handle it.
All right. So, okay, this makes more sense now. So it's not a direct reaction to going 1-5. I mean, Harbaugh understands the injuries and all that.
Yeah.
It's the way that he feels some players have reacted to the adversity of going 1-5, and he feels that they're kind of on that slippery slope because of maybe the handful of guys that you're talking about.
I see more guys. I see guys who are more competitive on cornhole on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday than they are on the game Sunday. And it's the same dudes I walk through the locker room who are talking smack and playing the games and going to town are the same dudes that are busting four things on Sundays. And so obviously you can't handle it. And that's why stuff like that gets taken away. Hey, to have that stuff in your locker room, you have to be, you have to be completely focused when it comes time to being focused. And man, I had a 3-year game of darts that went on between me and our equipment managers. I am the 3-time world champion of darts with the Denver Broncos, by the way. So I'm the best. I'm awesome. And the equipment managers at the time, Doug West and Vincini, those guys couldn't hold my jock when it came to playing darts. Okay. And I let them know about it. But I also was prepared every Sunday and didn't make any mental errors. So it's part of, and plus I walked in the facility at 5 a.m. So I had I made sure I scheduled some free time for myself. My wife is over there looking at me. Honey, I had work to do, lady. So just trust me. Yeah. I wasn't just jerking around in there. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had an ongoing cribbage game with Greek, our trainer, dart game for 3 years with our boys in the equipment room.
While you were getting serious. While you were getting treatment.
Sure. I mean, you're laying there with an ice bag on, right? Yeah. You might as well play cards.
Sure.
Like that's how it worked back then. But no, I'm actually all for the punishment from John Harbaugh. If this doesn't fix it, Mike, nothing will.
Right.
If this doesn't get you back on track, if you're the Ravens, then nothing's going to get you back on track. And by the way, the Steelers losing the other day does give you a glimmer of hope if you're Baltimore. Because we know, even though Cincinnati beat the Steelers on a Thursday nights are a pain in the ass. And, and Joe Flacco had an out of body experience. That's probably not going to happen again. So, Cincinnati's done. Cleveland scares me a little bit because their defense is legit.
You got them this week.
I've got them this week, and they're frightening. They make me glad I don't play anymore. But anyhow. But the Baltimore Ravens are looking at this like, hey, man, last-ditch effort. We could put a string together here, and we can go back and win this division.
Well, he'll try this, but Harbaugh has one last card to play if this doesn't work out.
What's that?
If it doesn't work out, he can just get everybody lined up, and he can just say, I'm going to need your shoes.
I'm going to need your shoes.
That's good.
Hey, you better bring it. You better bring it on Friday's podcast. Otherwise, I'm going to take your shoes.
Take my shoes. Okay.
You're going to just be sitting there barefoot doing shows.
That's right.
You'll be the Rex Ryan of podcasting. For everybody involved.
Feet. I do.
I'm sure you do. For everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, I am Mark. He's Mike. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you subscribe. Share with your friends and family. We appreciate you so much. And don't make me come over there and get your shoes. That's from me to you. Don't do it.